What's up, Arms Length listeners, far and wide? We're Arms Length the band. We're in Minneapolis, Minnesota on an off day, and we're going to be telling you about some major influences for our sophomore LP. There's a whole world out there. Starting with track one, The World, right away, I think that song showcases a lot of our influences pretty potently right off the bat. I hear a lot of old pianos become the teeth in the drum roll kind of verse part of the song. I hear songs like Good Times, Quit Benefit, and Cripples Can't Shiver, namely. And then I hear the song Quit Benefit in that like 12 string acoustic part that we do before the drop, like the ging ging bing. I think Quit Benefit does that as well with just like a normal guitar in that track. So that's a big influence. And then I also hear counterparts in some of the drum stuff. There's like a kick part that goes gung gung gung, and the song Stranger by Counterparts also does the same thing. I don't know if that's like a big conscious thing we did, but Counterparts has always been an influence for us. So those are the big ones for that track. Track two, Fatal Flaw. Right away, I hear Pillars by Grandview with a like roomy 8-bit guitar and drum part and then it comes in full band after that. That song is an influence for that for sure. I also hear Berenstein by the band Camino. I know those songs are in the same key, E major, and that band has always just been a general influence on like our poppy stuff, like our melodies and such. So big influence there. And then in like the swing chorus, the gung 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 gung, I hear like Dead by My Chemical Romance. MCR has always been like a light influence for us, and then even like Cleveland, Ohio by John Floriani, that like end swing part. I've always wanted to capture that feeling in arms length music, and I think maybe we did it there. That's an influence. Track three, we got Funny Face. That vocal melody in the verse was actually inspired by a Novo Amor song called Birdcage. I think I ripped it off pretty hard there. The chorus kind of reminds me of The Smallest Light by Daisy Head. And I think the melody in the verse, like the "For you I'm vulnerable, I swear," reminds me of the newest Porter Robinson album. Sorry, Smile, which was an influence on a lot of the melodies on the new record. And when I'm saying that it's like reminiscent of these things, I just like kind of take that shit and put it into my own music. So definitely influences there. Track four, The Wait. In that like whole intro section, I hear Piano Player by the Hotelier a lot, in the guitar tone and the way the drums kind of progress throughout that whole part. That's a big one. And then that's one of the first songs where I really hear a Hot Mulligan influence in our track. I hear like Gans Media Games, or whatever the song name is. Sorry, they have long ass fucking song names. I hear that song a lot in The Wait. So big influences there. Palinopsia, that guitar riff, like the was inspired originally by Family Traits by the band My Iron Lung. I also hear a lot of Phoebe Bridgers in that song, and then that like instrumental bridge part, where it's just the guitar and drums and strings. That part is reminds me a lot of the Lydia song "A Fine Evening for a Rogue." They do kind of that same thing in the bridge, but that album and that band is pretty big for arm's length, so we definitely ripped that a little bit. Track six, The Wound. Among the Wildflowers is a big influence there. I hear Noah Kahn, Homesick. That was the major influence for that song. And then in the drums, I hear a lot of like Your Graduation by Modern Baseball. Some emo shit for sure. You Ominously End. So when I wrote that vocal melody, it was actually majorly inspired by Holocene by Bon Iver, which I know sounds kind of fucked, but it's kind of just like that melody and same chord progression, but fast and like kind of in a pop punk way. But that was actually the major inspiration for that vocal part and chord progression. But other than that, I hear a lot of like festival punk in the drums and like the way the song progresses. I hear a lot of Gaslight Anthem, Menzingers, even like Pup, or like In Framing by the Hotelier was a big one for that song. And then the breakdown, I hear a lot of like Counterparts, I guess, would be a big one for the breakdown. Early Onset is fully like on some singer-songwriter shit, I'd say. We used Ceilings by Lizzie McAlpine as a reference for that song. Reminds me of a lot of Phoebe. In the guitar part, I hear a lot of "Hello Moon" by Field Medic as well. All shit I was listening to a lot while writing that track, and I think that's evident when you listen to it. Genetic Lottery. That one's another kind of hot mulligan-y track to me. It was also inspired by the bridge in that song was inspired by the song "Lives of Others" by Somos. Somos is a really big band for Arms Length as well. Shout out Somos. Yeah, that was a big one. Attic, another kind of Phoebe Bridgers-y song. It's also kind of starts out as a piano ballad kind of, and that's to me is reminiscent of Pieces by Sum 41, which was my favorite band when I was a kid. So definitely pays homage to that. And then I hear like Thrash Particle by Modern Baseball, and that song has always been one of my favorites of all time. Big influence there. Haley, track 11. That riff is a pretty much direct rip of Hatchet by Movements. That band is pretty big for us, I'd say. Hopefully they don't get mad. But the vocal melody, like the all the mean bones in your body, I really tried to channel the latest Porter Robinson album, Smile, especially the song Is There Really No Happiness with that. I think it's pretty reminiscent of that. Big influence on the record. Shout out that. Shout out that. And then track 12, Morning Person. It's pretty evidently inspired by the song End of Real by the Hotelier, with like the loop that it starts with, and then it comes in with the 6/8. Also, both of the first words in both of those songs are first, and I just kind of realized that recently, so that's kind of embarrassing, but whatever. So I hear a lot of that song. I hear also Dendron by the Hotelier, so two Hotelier album closers there. And then the end, like, breakdown drum part, the like, said I da-dum, 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 da-dum. That is directly inspired by the song Cripples Can't Shiver by Pianos Become the Teeth off of Old Pride. Kind of ripped that one for sure, but it's one of my favorite moments in music of all time. It's just so epic and such a release of emotion. And that's what we wanted to do with that song. So that song was huge for that. Yeah, that song has a lot of Hotelier and Pianos Become the Teeth. And then I also hear some like foxing in the melodies there. But yeah, we're an emo band. Thus, we rip off our emo contemporaries. Cheers. Arms Length rips bands off. Later. Skater.